Good morning. It's about 5 o'clock in the morning, believe it or not. But I've had an extraordinary time this week because I've had three different conversations with three different groups of artists in Launceston, in Hobart, and yesterday in Burnie. And I'm in a reflective mood. I was working late in the studio last night, and I'll show you some work a bit later. Some new thoughts that I've been thinking about. But I'm in a reflective mood. I've written some notes, so please excuse me as I kind of refer to them. I've been having conversations with artists, Tasmanian artists, and part we were discussing that kept on coming up, of course, the place, the land, the journey of the place, the journey in the place. And in travelling around and these long journeys that I did with Raymond in this extraordinary landscape, and it seems every time I do the journey it's quite different because the weather can change really quite dramatically on the journey from rain to extreme sunshine to mists. So what you once saw, you'll see differently. And then I'm always coming back to Queenstown in my travels. So place is kind of paramount to me, and a kind of a mapping of the place and a feel of the place. So in a way, I want to kind of return to that. That's what I'm kind of reflecting about. So first of all, I want to thank all the artists who partook, and the audience who came, and the interesting things that kind of got opened up, and almost like ploughing a field that were revealed. I felt, and I really do, it's been a privilege and an honour to be invited and given this opportunity to see and kind of run the river of what's happening here and feel it and sense it. I think it's important that a number of people who might be watching in Tasmania will say, "Yeah, but you're English," and I agree. I'm not Tasmanian, but that's a complex kind of discussion. That whole idea of what is belonging, and the sense of belonging that I feel here is quite profound. It's quite interesting, and it changes with different places on the island. It's a bit like when I talk about colour as a language. Colour is a very complex thing, like belonging is. Just like when we talk about colour, I'm actually talking about dirt. I'm talking about pigment. I'm talking about the soil. I'm talking about the innards of a land to make sense, to visible sense of conversations. And in a way, I think that's totally at the heart of my painting, and really became part of my work here, which is, the painting you're seeing behind me is Queenstown, full moon over Pengarnon, full moon over Queenstown. There's a little smaller one behind my head as well, which I painted afterwards. But this is Queenstown on Queenstown. So the very dirt of Queenstown has been cleansed and washed to make this wonderful purple that then I've kind of attempted to make some kind of poetry of what I feel, visual poetry of what I feel about a particular moment in time as I walk. And when I go back and walk over the hills, okay, it hasn't got the full moon, but it has that extraordinary sense of experience of a moment encapsulated within that kind of museum box. But it's a particularness that I'm talking about in the work that I've made here, but that I'm constantly getting as I go around the island. But the thoughts I've found myself manifesting here are hovering kind of very internally. They're internal thoughts, and they're very human because we can all feel them. They're very tender, and at times I think tragic. but I think they're profoundly heroic. The kind of things that I'm constantly picking up, and I feel there's a kind of a great openness here. I think more than I've encountered for many years, which I think is tied up with the word hope for me. I think there's an immense hope that I feel that's in the place. I think intimacy is the best way. I think that's the best word that I feel, and I feel it particularly in Queenstown. It's like there's a song, and it's about, or the land itself is giving an intimacy, and that's, in a way, I think the best way I can start talking about Tasmania. In that kind of, there's an intimacy, intimacy, like as your lover, as a lover, holds your hand and looks into your eyes and sees you and enters those hidden places to ask elemental questions of being alive. It's that kind of, not staring, but it's like that sense of looking into one's being, looking into one's soul. I know you're probably saying, "Oh, wow, this is very deep. This is very deep at 5 o'clock in the morning." But perhaps you've missed what I've said. It's because a lover loves, and a lover calls to every part of your body and soul. And there's laughter, there's tears, there's that kind of sexual element, but also there is that learning, a longing to be a parent, to be. There's humour, there's ease, there's power, there's honesty. There's kind of nowhere to hide. I think that's what I'm kind of trying to say. You probably think, oh my goodness, this English chap. But I don't think there's anywhere to hide, and I think that sense of intimacy. But I think we can, and I think we can choose to be insincere. We can choose to be indifferent, because, yeah, I think that's how I kind of feel about it. Because there's a strong, a very powerful conversation. So it's all a bit heavy at 5 o'clock in the morning, but I'm only here for another week, and I'm kind of snatching this opportunity to bring more stuff out, like I did here last year. Now, already, and I'll just show you these pieces. Already, I've this is a piece. This piece that I did on the plane, and this one here. I know I showed it to you before, but these two. Now, this one here has the great title about is about the fact that we are finite, and that we're going to die. There's a kind of curtain, that sense of, and this is about time. Whereas this is that extraordinary word, theophany, meeting the Maker, and this is what I'm trying to do, or is kind of being attempted to do in this drawing that I've kind of been working on the last, when I came back from Burnley and the day before. It's kind of a strange kind of rhythm of a dynamic and a moment, a glimpse into something, very, not just ephemeral, but it's like coming back coming back to Queenstown. I know I've mentioned it before about it being a thin place, but there's something kind of raw here. We had a fantastic play the other night about the history of Queenstown. It's got its last evening's night. It's on for 3 nights. I felt so privileged, seeing the not only the Tasmanian but Queenstown history, but there's a glimpse into Australia and going back 40,000 years. There's so much to think about in that sense of all that was being achieved there, and then these conversations with artists that are wrestling with wonderful makers and shapers and formers into the things about a beautiful piece about ice, and but it created in a wonderful architectural space, and then beautiful objects with poetry and words, and it's like, you know, what are we about as artists? We're trying to make sense of the world. We're trying to bring some sense of a conversation and about the other that we feel, whether it's just directly from looking at the beauty of it or the ugliness of it, or the other that we glimpse. A bit like what I'm constantly, because I'm interested in that, the kind of the metaphysical, the other, like in the way I'm talking about in colour. There's more than just colour. I think there's these forms within colours. There's like a conversation in colour that moves us deeply in different ways, and how we can be not just transfixed, but there's something more. We had a fantastic, Raymond and I, in Burnie on the seafront. We had a fantastic squid salad, salt and pepper squid. And I've had many since I've been here this last week. I've tried in a lot of restaurants the same thing, only because that's the way it worked out. But coming across, there's nothing quite like the one, because I had it when we went to Burnie last week, and I've had it last year. And some people can cook things and do a really good job, and they've all been delicious. But suddenly there's something that takes you somewhere else. And they can do it again and again, and it's a profundity, and it's not necessarily their signature dish, but it's a particularness that they have seen or understood something in the making and putting together. And that's what I was feeling when I was in conversation with all these different artists. And I really encourage you to look at the films, because what was uncovered is different ways that we're trying to make sense of the world, and being in conversation with ourselves and revealing to ourselves what it is. And in this island, because it's contained, and yes, I know you're part of Australia and part of everything, the wider culture, but there can be then a particularness in different locations around the island, and then coming back here to this particularness, and that's what constantly drawn to this amazing kind of mountain at the end of the road, and the wonderful openness and kind of extraordinary rawness about, and gentleness. And I know they're going through, in Queenstown, I know they're going through terrible times with the mine and that, and it's so much a part of their culture and their life. And there's something about these extraordinary colours and pulled back landscape in the middle of this rainforest that I think people should see. I think there's something quite wonderful happening here, and that's what Raymond's kind of in the gallery, and what he's doing these last 10 years with LARQ is giving opportunities for artists to come from all over the world and from Australia and Tasmania to be affected by this, but to glimpse something in this place. And of course, there's other places in Tasmania, there's other places in Australia, other places in the world, and I find it in England. There's extraordinary places, but it's not everywhere, and it changes in different places, and some places are very thick, and other places are thinner. But maybe it's too that in certain places that we can see individually a lot clearer. As I've said on many occasions about being beside the sea, like in Burnie, I was standing right on the seafront, and once again, it's like going to touch something, even though I didn't. It's kind of physically being beside something. One has clarity. So I wanted to just say thank you to all the artists that I met, and to you in Tasmania for this wonderful opportunity I've been given. So I've got another week. So this time next week, I'm still here in Queenstown, but I'll be making my way back to the airport. So I'll probably do a few more, and hopefully I'm just going to draw. I'm not going to paint, and see what pops up. So thank you very much, and I think I'll have some breakfast. I might have a bacon sandwich across the road too.